And we're also going to have our big ReadCon event, our sci-fi fantasy night, on March 10th. And Brian will actually be at our ReadCon too. So, and he'll have his books there that night. So if you want to buy one of his books, or if you want to have your family meet him and talk to him or anything like that, he will also be part of our big event that's full of like activities and costumers and all sorts of fun Comic-Con type stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author Brian Tashima.
I just want to say that I'm really happy and excited to be here. This is actually my first live author visit. I've done a bunch of author visits on Skype over some classrooms around the country, and also one in Sweden. But this is my very first time doing a live school presentation, and I'm very honored that it's Shahala, because this is basically my home middle school. Torin, my son, went to Shahala. Some of you may know Melody. She's my daughter. She's going here right now. So yeah, I'm really happy and excited to be here. As you may know, I'm the author of the SpectraLand Saga. It's a 7-book series. 7 books are planned. 2 books are out so far. And rather than me telling you the origin story behind the books, I have a little visual aid.
So in 2012, Tashima wrote his first book in a 7-book series called Secret of the Song Shelf. The main character was based off Tashima's love for music and inspired by his son.
About a teenage boy who's a guitar player and who happens to be on the autism spectrum. Basically, he travels to another world where music is magic, and being on the autism spectrum is like a superpower.
He's hoping his series shed positive light on people living with autism and encourage others to embrace their differences.
Notice that their being on the spectrum was sort of an obstacle that they had to kind of overcome to accomplish their goals and do what they wanted to do. I wanted to make a positive role model, a positive literary hero that not only my son, but all kids in the spectrum can kind of look up to and get sort of a sense of empowerment from.
Tashima's son is now 17 years old and embraces his role as a superhero. Meanwhile, I learned a portion of the sales goes to the local autism empowerment organization. You can pick up these books on Amazon for about $10.
Does anybody have any family members or know anybody or friends that are on the autism spectrum? Anybody? So yeah, it's as I was doing this, after I wrote the book and I started to get it out there, it was surprising to me, to learn, to find out just how many people has some kind of connection to autism, whether or not they're on the spectrum themselves or they have relatives, friends. But really, what it kind of turned into after a while was something where I felt it could be a positive message for kids everywhere on the spectrum, and something that not only that they can relate to and get a sense of empowerment from, but also for people who didn't have any idea or didn't know as much about what the autism spectrum meant, that they could kind of read the books, have fun, enjoy a good story, and kind of learn something along the way as well. The first one was where do your ideas come from? And I think a lot of my ideas, my inspiration come from myself being an avid reader. Ever since I was a kid, I used to love reading, especially science fiction, fantasy books, Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. I was a huge fan. I also loved Star Wars, still do. All those kinds of things. And so a lot of my ideas and inspiration come from things that I, have been a fan of myself. And even to this day, I'm still a big reader, and I still watch all these movies and TV shows and things that, so a lot of that kind of filters through, I guess, the experience that you get by reading other people's works or watching other people's creative works. It kind of filters through, and it informs your own ideas, and it gives you inspiration to do something. What is your writing process like, from brainstorming to drafts to revisions, and how long does it take? That's a good question. When I first started writing the first book, I just jumped into it. I just dove into it. I had a basic idea, and then I started writing something, and I got about maybe 40 pages into it before I realized that I had no idea what I was doing, and this story is absolutely making no sense. And so what I did at that point was I created an outline. And that was really the first step. I made an outline, chapter by chapter of how the story should go. I knew where like the major turning points should be, what the events should happen. And from there, I fleshed that out. I developed it into chapter summaries, where each chapter I would like write a couple of paragraphs about what's going to happen here, what are the important events that need to happen in this chapter. And so from there, once I had that, then it was pretty easy. Then I just kind of had to follow the outline, and what I did was I put myself on a schedule of writing at least 400 to 500 words a day, no matter what was happening. Like I had to, no matter how busy I was, or whatever else I had going on, I had to find time in my day to write at least 500 words. You're just making the first draft. So the key was to not worry so much about, how good is this? Am I using the right word here? Does this sentence really make any sense? And I would go back later on and replace that, or if it was close to what I wanted, I could just edit it and turn it into something usable. In fact, I actually got a lot of usable ideas out of that exercise. So following that process, I ended up finishing the first draft for the first book in about 4 months. And from there, that's when the hard work started, because then after that I spent about a year revising it and editing it, and having what we call beta readers, other readers, other authors or students reading the book and providing their feedback. And I also hired an editor as well. So it goes through that, it goes through a process where now that you have the first draft in hand, now you can actually polish it up and turn it into something, something good. Yeah, so it went through probably maybe like 6 or 7 drafts, I would say. I mean, there's like kind of partial drafts in between, where it just kind of it's a thing that's kind of evolves as you edit it, as you revise it. But there were about 6 or 7 main drafts, and from the time I made the first one to the finished one. And so again, that whole process took about a year and a half. So the main thing was I wanted to have Joel. It was really important to me that Joel was an accurate representation of somebody on the autism spectrum, or as accurate as I could get it within the context of the story. And so to that end, my son Torrin, he was sort of the model for Joel. Joel was a character that's sort of based on a combination of Torrin and myself, and I used characteristics of both of us. But it was really important for me that Joel be a realistic portrayal of somebody on the spectrum. As some of you may know, I'm going to digress for a bit here, but some of you may know if you have friends or relatives on the spectrum. The reason it's called a spectrum is because it's a range. You can have people on one particular end of the spectrum who may seem like just perfectly normal, ordinary kids. And then you may have other people who, maybe need a little bit more, support and help to get through their daily lives. And it's a range of behaviors and characteristics. It's not just one thing. There are some things that maybe they all have kind of similar in common, but it can be widely different. And that's why it's called a spectrum. And so, with Joel, he has what we used to call Asperger's syndrome, and so he's kind of on a point on the autism spectrum where he's a smart kid. He's really good at math and like memorizing things. He can memorize patterns really well, but he has trouble with other areas like social interaction. He's not very good at making friends or social communication. I work with an organization called Autism Empowerment. They're based here in Vancouver, I work closely with them. I've been working with them for a number of years now, and I had Karen. She's the director of the organization. She is also on the autism spectrum, and I had her read through early drafts of my book, and I wanted her to make sure that Joel and another character in the book who's also on the spectrum were realistic portrayals. What books or stories or movies inspired you growing up and influenced your writing? Yeah, like I already mentioned, I've read a lot of books. Again, like there's Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Just how how she wrote Harry Potter, that series. How she kind of made it something that it's it's kind of a light, fun thing that that whole families can read. So that's kind of what I kind of based the tone of my books on that, and also like on the Percy Jackson series. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Anybody read Harry Potter? Harry Potter fans? Percy Jackson? Yeah. So those are books that inspired me and influenced me. Again, also a lot of movies. I'm a big fan of all this stuff you see here. Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, the Marvel stuff. All those kind of things. It all creeps into my writing. Even stuff like Gravity Falls. Anybody watching that on Disney XD? Yeah, it's such a good show. I'm so bummed that it's done. But when you start writing, do you know where you're headed, or does it change as you go? We touched on that, and so you're often surprised. Like, and the characters too. Well, they tend to they have minds of their own as you write. They will do what they want to do, or what they feel they should be doing. Sometimes, like I'll have them doing something in the summary or in the outline, and then when you get to that point, they're like, they actually almost literally tell me off the page, no, that's not really what I would be doing there, Brian. This isn't what I should be doing here. And so so it does change a lot once you get into the actual writing part, and you get to that point that you find it actually does change quite a bit. But then again, that's where the outline, for me anyway, came in handy, or comes in handy, because then even as you have these changes, you don't stray too far off the road. You can kind of still stay on track with where the story is going. What do you like most about the sci-fi fantasy genre? It tends to have, a lot of the stories tend to have a heroic arc, or a kind of epic narrative where it's a hero, it's a boy or a girl who ends up having to go on this journey, and they meet obstacles and problems along the way, and they overcome these problems. And at the end of the day, they end up, they save the world, or they do some heroic deed. And I've always really been drawn to that kind of story. And it actually kind of goes back to it was identified. I don't know if you talked about the hero's journey. Do it. It's the hero's journey is this. It's kind of originally based on Ulysses. This author Joseph Campbell, he kind of identified it as like there's certain steps in these kinds of epic stories that the character in the book goes through, and it works because I think it resonates with people. People can kind of be inspired by it, and you'll see that kind of structure in everything from like Star Wars to Harry Potter. All these popular books and movies kind of follow. They're not copies of each other, but they kind of follow similar arc. But what I wanted to do with these books was make it where the hero's being on the spectrum was the source of his magic. It was that was what he used to demonstrate. That was where his power came from. And so that was kind of the difference of how I wanted to make my story unique. Any advice for young people who want to become professional writers, and how do you get published? Well, the biggest piece of advice I can give is to just write. I know that sounds simple, but that's really what it comes down to. Is don't stop. Just write short stories, write poems, write songs, write whatever you are inspired to write, whatever you feel motivated to write. Learn about it. What you learn in school, and even you can learn things outside of school. Like I said, there are books about how to write books. I read a bunch of those, and those were a big help. And like I said, of course, everything that you learn in class here at school is important as well. And that's probably the most important at this point. And again, just read a lot. Get ideas, get inspiration. There are many ways, there are lots of different avenues, especially nowadays, to get published. If that's something that you want to do. Aragon was originally self-published. I'm also self-published. It's called traditionally published, and generally the way you have to do that nowadays is you have to find a literary agent. I tried doing that in the beginning. I actually approached about 20 agents. They even have a conference here in Portland where you can go and you can talk to literary agents about your book.
But what else kept you motivated to keep going back and making it better or making the little changes? We've been talking about this in class about going through the recursive writing process.
The more I did it, the more fun I was having. And the more, the closer you get to what you think is a good thing, it's like, I actually was having fun reading it myself. Even though I just wrote this, I'm reading it for my own enjoyment. And the more you get to that, the more exciting and more, it's like a snowball effect. And just the joy of creating something that's yours, that, because like I said, I'm not such a huge fan of all these other things. The joy of creating something that now I have something that I can put up alongside these other things, that's very exciting. And that was very inspiring to me. What do you hope people learn from reading your books? You get kind of just a little more understanding of what a person on the spectrum is possibly thinking or feeling, and just a little bit more insight into that. I made it so that the book wouldn't hit you over the head with that. It wouldn't be like really super obvious. I don't want to make it really super obvious. I just want to kind of couch it in the context of the story where like I said, Joel. This is how Joel would react in certain situations, and then I'm not going to spell it out where it says because he's autistic he did this, but it just he'll react a certain way to something, and then you can kind of infer from that of how somebody on the spectrum could be possibly thinking or feeling. So that was the list of questions that I was sent. Does anybody have anything else? Yes.
About halfway through the book, I thought, you know what, this would be an awesome graphic novel, comic, animated movie, something like that. So I was just wondering if there's ever a possibility of that happening, when then we could see all these awesome creatures you thought of.
Oh, I would be very happy. And actually, I'm glad you said that, because I've heard that from other people as well. And that was something that I tried to do when I was writing the book. I wanted to make it very visual. I would imagine the scenes in my head as I was writing them, like as if it was playing out as a movie. And I think, so I'm glad that kind of came across like that. And so yeah, I'm trying. I'm doing whatever I can. I think the chances of it getting out as in a more visual medium, the more we can get it out there, then the more chances there are that leads me to that stage, which I would love. And again, I don't know if you heard this on the video, but I donate a portion of the money that I made from this book to autism empowerment, because I really believe in what they do. We're a nonprofit organization, from a perspective where I can, if it gets to be a success, if it becomes a hit movie, then I'll be able, we can afford to do that much more programs with our organization. So. Yes. I like the first book because it's kind of it's a kind of a classic, simple story. It's a quest story. The heroes are going on a quest and everything, and so it's very it's simple and it's fun. The second book, I actually tried to. I didn't want to make each book the same. Some series, frankly, when you read them, like each book kind of seems like the same thing, just different settings. I wanted to make the second book where it was quite a bit different from the first one, and so I like it for the fact that it's it's different, it's a little bit more complex, but at the same time it's still the same characters, and it's still the same. I try to keep the same fun tone with it.
Why do you do the beginning and the end first?
In the beginning, when you start out, you kind of know where your character, you're pretty sure where you want your character to start out with, and you're pretty sure where you want him or her to end up. And it's how you get them there that sometimes is the more challenging part. So I think that's kind of why those are the easier parts. Writer's block, yes. And I think I mentioned that when I get stuck, one of my favorite exercises is I'll write the characters doing anything at all, just something crazy that has nothing to do with the story. Like I said, they can be going to the mall. They can be, they're supposed to be in SpectraLand, but they're actually, at football game or something. They just, I just try to, I turn off any ideas of what the story should be, and I just, write. I just write words. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't even have to be good words or be correct, have correct spelling or punctuation even. Just get it down and fix it up later. Hi,